After the U.S. tariff on Chinese goods increased to 245%, a series of foreign companies quickly left China. Not only large U.S. companies such as Apple, Steve Madden, Church & Dwight Brothers, but also a series of large companies from Japan, Korea, and Taiwan also quickly moved their production chains out of China to India and Southeast Asian countries. This shift happened a few years ago, and after the tariff sanctions from Mr. Trump, this withdrawal process is accelerating at its highest speed and becoming an irreversible trend. Faced with growing threats from Beijing, Japanese, Taiwanese, and other companies are now accelerating their exit from China. On July 23rd, Japan's Nippon Steel announced that it would end its 20-year joint venture with China's Bao Steel. The contract will expire at the end of August. Nippon Steel has found it difficult to expand its business in China and plans to shift investment to India and the United States. Nippon Steel also stated that it plans to sell all of its shares in the joint venture with China's Bao Steel for $241 million, though the sale will require regulatory approval. During the joint venture, Nippon Steel sued China's Bao Steel in a Japanese court in 2021, accusing the Chinese side of stealing Japanese patents on electroplated steel sheets, which China supplies to Toyota for electric vehicles. The case is still ongoing. This is a typical example of foreign companies rushing to withdraw from China. On July 12th, Japanese construction machinery manufacturer Kato Works announced the dissolution and liquidation of its subsidiary that produces and sells hydraulic excavators in Kunshan, Jiangsu. Construction machinery company Kato Nakajima also announced that it would liquidate in August to exit the Chinese market. This trend is spreading from the manufacturing sector to the beauty products sector, with high-end skincare brands such as Shiseido also announcing their withdrawal from the Chinese market. Shiseido's flagship stores in China have recently stopped accepting new orders and have begun to close. Another Japanese company, Bridgestone, has also announced its withdrawal after more than 20 years of operations in China. Bridgestone has ceased producing and selling commercial tires in China and will likely focus on high-performance passenger tires. According to public information, in the past year, most of the globally renowned companies leaving China have been Japanese. These include manufacturing plants of Canon, Sony, Toshiba, and Nikon. Other companies that have exited China include Amazon, LinkedIn, and the R&D center of Astellas Pharmaceuticals. These companies have moved their supply chains to Thailand, the Philippines, or back home. Taiwanese companies face threats from China and seek refuge in other ways. Faced with threats from the Beijing government, Taiwanese companies are now seeking refuge in various ways. French media have expressed concern that China's hegemonic ambitions toward Taiwan have made Taiwan's leading technology companies worry about the worst-case scenarios. As a result, some companies are considering setting up a second headquarters outside Taiwan. Les Echos, which focuses on the response of Taiwanese companies seeking refuge abroad in the face of threats from Beijing, pointed out that since 2022, China has intensified its military demonstrations against Taiwan under the pretext of then U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, reiterating its claim to the ancestral territory. This escalation of tensions has alarmed Taiwan's leading technology companies, prompting them to consider a Plan B away from the island. At the heart of these concerns are giants such as Lite-On and Chizda in the fields of electronic components, IT infrastructure, and medical technology, which are actively preparing for the evacuation of some employees from their headquarters. Taiwanese companies have long outsourced a large part of their production. Foxconn, the world's leading computer equipment manufacturer and a subcontractor for Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft, focuses most of its business in China, but also operates in Europe, Brazil, and Mexico. TSMC, a semiconductor giant that manufactures for companies such as NVIDIA and Apple, has just announced the construction of a second factory in Arizona, USA, with an investment of more than $65 billion, including $6.6 billion in subsidies from the U.S. government. Singapore and the Netherlands are priority locations for Taiwan's semiconductor IC industry to expand its factories. Although a military invasion of the island of Taiwan by Chinese armed forces does not seem imminent, such concerns are still growing. An armed confrontation in the Taiwan Strait would have a catastrophic impact on the global economy, especially for the global semiconductor market, which is already tense due to the rise of artificial intelligence. The trend of foreign capital withdrawal from China has been a hot topic since 2023. Earlier this year, global asset management firm Knight Frank analyzed that this trend is still ongoing. To calm public opinion, China's Ministry of Commerce stated that the inflow and outflow of foreign capital are in line with market rules, and that the narrative of foreign companies fleeing has been exaggerated and incited by external forces. Xinhua News Agency, the media outlet of the Chinese Communist Party, even criticized foreign companies for being foolish. Xinhua propaganda asserted that the best investment opportunities in the future still lie in China, and that leaving China would only mean missing out on these opportunities. A commentator noted that the deteriorating business environment in China is driving foreign capital to leave, with many foreign companies moving to Southeast Asia, India, and even returning to their home countries, such as the United States, Japan, and South Korea. These companies come to China to do business and make money, not to engage in charity work. A netizen named Trin Tai Rose suggested that foreign companies are reluctant to leave China because of its well-established supply chain and cheap labor force. However, in the past 3 to 5 years, not only have the remaining 100 Japanese companies left, but also other companies from Taiwan, Korea, the US, Germany, the UK, and even some Chinese enterprises have withdrawn from China. Japanese camera giant Nikon shut down its subsidiary Nikon Imaging in China. The world's largest hard drive maker Seagate closed its factory in Suzhou. Suzuki withdrew all shares from 2 subsidiaries in China. Nitto Denko Group closed its Suzhou factory and withdrew from China. Apple assemblers plan to move production lines to Taiwan or Southeast Asia. In 2019, South Korea's Samsung Electronics closed its factory in Huizhou, ending phone production in China and shifting to India, Vietnam, and other Southeast Asian countries. Japanese office equipment company Ricoh moved its photocopier production lines to Thailand. KF sold its China business to SNH. In 2020, British supermarket chain Tesco announced that it would completely withdraw from the Chinese market. Dutch company Philips sold its home appliance business to Hill House Capital and exited the home appliance market in China. American clothing retailer Old Navy announced its withdrawal from the Chinese market and closed all its physical and online stores in the country. In 2021, Yahoo stopped providing products and services in China. Toshiba closed its last factory in Dalian. Japanese electronics manufacturer Oki ceased its printer and copier manufacturing operations in China. In 2022, Canon closed its factory in Zhuhai, moving production lines to Japan. South Korea's Lotte Group closed its last department store in China, dissolved its headquarters in China, and increased investment in Southeast Asia. Apple announced that iPhones would be assembled and manufactured in an Indian factory. In 2023, Sony moved its main factory to Thailand. Citibank left China. Supermarket group Carrefour left China. U.S. asset management giant Vanguard and performance consulting firm Gallup announced they would close their operations in China and leave the country. A foreigner was very angry when he accidentally encountered Chinese people on the mainland taking cooking oil from wastewater pipes to recycle. A video recorded a scene of a foreign man living and working on the mainland. While walking at night on the street, he accidentally encountered a Chinese couple scooping cooking oil scum from a sewer pipe, stinky wastewater to be recycled into dirty cooking oil. This recycled oil is then sold to street food vendors and cheap restaurants. With the mindset and ethics of someone educated in a country with a civilized regime, he became very angry when he witnessed this and confronted the Chinese couple, questioning why they were engaging in such dishonest behavior. He told them that their actions were harmful, as the dirty oil, once recycled with chemicals, would destroy everyone's health, including that of their own friends and relatives. He questioned how they could be so blinded by money as to commit such inhumane acts. Embarrassed by the Western man and with no way to justify their actions, the Chinese couple quickly got into their car and left to continue their unsavory work elsewhere. In another video, people dressed as chefs were seen taking cooking oil from a sewer behind their workplace to recycle and reuse it. This practice helps them save money, but the use of such dirty oil severely endangers the health of countless people. Although this is a blatant violation of the law, it is ignored under the CCP's regime. This situation is deeply concerning. The Washington Post published an article titled, "You May Never Eat Street Food in China Again After Watching This Video" by Max Fisher.
Not everyone is facing difficulties, but let's see which car dealer in Chengdu is faring worse than me. In the warehouse, there are still 2,000 new unsold cars priced at about $2,800, $4,200, $7,000, $14,000, and even $21,000. These cars have been sitting there for 2 or 3 years and remain unsold. It's baffling. They're brand new cars. What should I do? This confession comes from a car dealership owner in China, shedding light on the reality of the country's auto market amid a plummeting Chinese economy. In January, Hyundai announced that Beijing Hyundai had sold its Chongqing factory to Chongqing Liangjiang New Area Youfu Industrial Park Construction Investment Company, LLT, for 1.62 billion yuan, $226 million at the end of last year, a figure less than half of its initial listing price the previous year, as reported by Yonhap News Agency. The Chongqing factory, Beijing Hyundai's 5th complete car manufacturing plant in China, was hailed as the company's most advanced factory. Construction began in 2015, and the factory officially commenced operations in August 2017. Spanning an area of 1.87 million square meters, the factory boasted a total investment of 7.7 billion yuan, $1.07 billion, and an annual production capacity of 300,000 vehicles. However, due to various reasons, it ceased operations in December 2021. Initially listed for sale on August 11, 2023, with a base price of 3.68 billion yuan, $513 million, the sale did not materialize by the deadline. After an unsuccessful auction, the factory was relisted on September 27 with a reduced base price of 2.58 billion yuan, $360 million, a decrease of 1.1 billion yuan, $153 million. Subsequently, it underwent a third listing with a base price of 1.917 billion yuan, $267 million, until it was finally sold for 1.62 billion yuan, $226 million. Hyundai Motor stated that this sale is part of an effort to reasonably adjust the operational model of its factories in China to enhance efficiency. However, industry insiders speculate that South Korea's Hyundai Group is accelerating its exit from China by selling factories there and shifting production to India and Indonesia. Recently, Yonhap News Agency also reported that Hyundai Motor may consider selling its Changzhou factory,